Thank you so
Okay.
much. Tuning in from one of my favorite countries in the world.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'm so glad to be with you in this sunshine morning.
I when I see people, I don't want to say preach, but open their eyes to more of the holistic style within health, right? Pay attention to more things within the circle and try and increase that sphere of influence of health, well-being, fitness. I get really intrigued. I get really intrigued of why people start thinking in that way, and also what is their perception on well-being, on health, on fitness, and even the connection between people, right? So I guess I'm going to give you the microphone and just you take me in whatever direction you want to take me here.
Okay, I will tell you a story which began like 20-ish years ago. Basically, I started as a kinesiology and as a trainer to work on the movement potential and how the movement can change our life and our look. At that point, the look was very, aesthetic was very important. But in the same time, I get introduced with some, let's say, spiritual, methodologies. And it began, both of those paths go parallel. And it was, very step by step, nothing rushing. If you think about science, even of the modern kinesiology and the medicine wasn't at that time so potent. Or if it was, it wasn't in a practical sense. It was on the university, but who were working in a practical life with those methodologies, we still be in, say, a little bit in a dark age. At that point, early 2000, everything got a little bit more, out. And I have opportunity to go from Croatia to Canada, first of all, in Toronto, and after that, America and California. And it basically was, I get introduced with so great teachers and methodologies, and we would say new science, something that we didn't even know in Croatia. At that point, we didn't have like cell phones, and it wasn't connected like in a blink of the second. So you need to travel, you have to connect, get some loan in a bank, ask your man, can you give me like 1,000 or something, and then you took everything what you have and just go and travel and just find somebody who is really like a torch in a society, like a torch in an industry, you know what I mean? And basically, you get, did you get me? Something get a little bit disconnected. Did you get my sentence? Everything is okay. Yeah. So anyways, it was very great point, because you need to struggle for information. And the information you get was the top of the knot, because it's like the fresh information come, from the university immediately in that very developed part of the world. And for me, it was like I shift to another dimension. And at the same point, on that path, I get introduced with some people who were doing some spiritual thing, which I didn't even understand as a spiritual, because from the early age, I was so open to everything, And anyways, I developed myself or start to rise, all of my skills and knowledges in a sense of the movement, kinesiology, breath, And on the other side, it was that awakening of the consciousness and of the presence. And what does it mean to have the purpose in life? And what does it mean to be present? And at some point, and I would say it was like maybe a little bit before Corona, and I think Corona even pushed it, it was like a jump, really jump, where something in my head said like, those two paths are one path. Those things are not divided. Those things are one piece, one idea, and only together they can help people in a modern life to achieve or to optimize health, but in a more level, not only body health, but mental health, and even spiritual, I wouldn't say spiritual health, because spirit is always healthy, but spiritual presence within that body, which is healthy. So for me, it was like, okay, I will bridge the gap between the science and spirituality. And I will blend it, because it is the oneness, it is the idea. Even if you think about in a spiritual way, it's always not duality, is a unity. And if we just take that principle in what we do and live and study and apply in our work and our life, it have to show that principle of the oneness. And so I start to blend it together, like it is came from the same source, which is basically did. It came from the same source, if you will. You know what I mean? So it was very funny point, and I start to tap in something which nobody taught me how to do that. You know, when somebody come to the, you know, to diagnostics, and I will do, I don't know, postural analysis, movement diagnostic. I will check out the breath, and but then I will ask, are you happy in your life? Do you live your purpose? You know, and people are like, okay, we were just on a posture. How that have sense? You know, how is that connected? Everything is connected. You know, are you living with a joy, or you are living somebody else's life? And it was very funny, because I get some inner courage to really ask those questions. Maybe years before, I would think that this is too intimate, how you can ask somebody, you know, for the first time, for the first visit, okay, are you happy in your life, or do you live according to somebody else's rules or somebody else's programs? But somehow, since I go into it, my courage was every session the strongest, the widest, and I get more clearness. I get more, you know, proper words, proper questions just popping out. And then I just started to develop my own approach of the holistic health and the balance of the body, mind, and spirit, and which is basically something that I today work. And sometimes, and it's always throughout the body, because we are living in a physical body, and you can't go and think about, are you present, if you, you know, just neglect your own body. You need to start with the body. Even if you took breath, for example, which is the bridge between the body and the spirit, but still the breath is taking place in our body, and we need to know how to breathe properly, meaning in biomechanical way, so we can use that methodologies to reconnect with the deepest layer of ourselves. And so it's the story how we come to that position where I'm now, where I'm combining, we can say East and West, you know, knowledge and the wisdom. And everything what they do is still, you know, based on lots of on knowledge and also into intuition together. And for that approach, it's very important for me to also work on not only on my body, but also on the practices that gets me in a much deeper layer of my being, where I can understand the other people better, where I can understand the life that we are living now in a deeper layer. So I need to, for example, today I didn't do any meditation or something, but when we finished, because it's so great day, and because you make me happy to meet you, and it was so you know, nice to be here with you. I feel your energy, which is so kind and nice, and I love it. And I will just you know, have something with me, like I will do some Tai Chi or something to cherish this day. Okay, so you must do those practices, so you can be able to teach others, and you can be able even more to understand others and where they are. Because I also have moment where my body didn't function well, or where I wasn't connected so much with my soul, you know, talk. And I know all of those paths, how it's to be lost, how it's to be unawakened. So basically that's it. I hope I give you proper answer for your question.
No, that's a beautiful, beautiful story, and
Yeah,
thank you for
thank you.
sharing in your own in your own words, right? Like, I
Mhm.
don't like to run diagnostics on people's backgrounds and pick out interesting things that, well, I think
Uh-huh.
initially I'm like, no, I'm just going to ask you and tell me in your words, and let me find questions within there. I'm just going to follow curiosity, and it seems like that's what you did with your story, which arrived or made you arrive at this point. You know, just kept following curiosity and asking questions. And I'm going to dive into
Mhm.
what you finished off saying, where you said there was times where you felt lost and unawakened. What did that feel like? How was your life structured when you felt quote unquote lost? And then how does it compare to now?
I think we are all, like made of um, a little bit of our parents' belief, a little bit
Yeah.
of the country where you live, of the program of the society that you live in. And here in Croatia, it was always, and even, like if you go to the lives of our like grandmas, grandpas, and so on, it was some struggle, it's like, we went from a socialistic country to the capitalistic, and it's always some struggle. And so as I was younger, like during my 20s, it was like you need to struggle to have
Yeah.
better life. So this was also the program, and you are like accept that idea that it needs to be hard uh, to become somebody, and to make something from your life. So at first, it was really, really hard, even in Croatia, to open up, like a place like at that point it was studio, and it was 2003 when I opened Body and Mind Studio, and basically I immediately start to speak about body mind connection. And at that point we have only bodybuilders or sport athletes who are doing fitness. Nobody was doing fitness. And now I open up and I said, we will have like, like a personal approach, and you will need to do some kind of diagnostic. At that point, I was doing only posture analysis. I didn't do anything else. And you need to, like pay more to have, much better service, and to be more like privately or personalized approach, and so on. And at that point, it was really a struggle in a business sense. And also I took male roles, because to be,
Yeah.
to fight and to, and also since my formal degree is kinesiology from the Department of the Strength Conditioning, which means I basically formally are a strength conditioning coach. And then after some years, I started to work with sport athletes, which was totally the male role. And during that time, because of everything that I learned from my parents, from the society, from the country, and because of my choices to go on my own to open the studio and afterwards to work with athletes, I stepped into a very strong male role. And when you work within a male role, you somehow minimize the woman in yourself. And that disbalance can catch you afterwards. I wasn't thinking about having kids. I wasn't thinking about nothing. It was ego driven to to build something, to be important in the society, to be somebody who is going to be appreciated because of the knowledge and because of everything. But this is a not proper. If you create from that, you will create something, but you will not create complete picture. And then I get married. I don't know how. It was like totally, out of nothing, like, okay, I'm married. And somehow I get pregnant. And I'm like, Okay, I wasn't that, in my planning, because I was totally in a business, because business took everything. And I enjoy it because it was like I created something which was living inside of me, but everything else should stop and be on pause, on hold while I'm doing that. I lost the compass, I lost the balance. But if I go back to that, it wasn't any other way, because I wouldn't be here now if I did it differently. So all of that with the business gets to the divorce very soon, like within like 1 year or two. And that divorce was like very painful. And I get the son from that marriage, who is now great. He's 15 years old and everything. And I have another partner and I have another kid and everything. But that was my personal bankrupt. You know what I mean? It's like, I couldn't be, I didn't know how to be mom. I didn't know how to be proper woman, because I was so affected by the male roles of creating, of action, of building, of presenting, of teaching others, of which I enjoyed and which I did very nicely. But it wasn't that balancing between the roles. You know what I mean? And that was like a very big fall in my personal life, which just get me to the point where did I miss something? You know what I mean? It's not normal in a life to only work and to build and to live in that, scarcity. And you are now just, doing whatever it's needed because you are creating from the fear. It's not only from the fear. I have constantly vision and mission to help others. But in the same way, I lost myself. And, my personal connection with the woman inside of me, and I asked myself in one moment, do you exist without being coach? Do you exist without being director of body and mind? And then I was like, I don't know, maybe yes, but I don't know. I felt like, I felt very, what is happening? Like, it's an earthquake, and then I start to think about my life in a different way. And then I would say that the deepest playing with spirituality, it was still that point. But going into the, deepest trauma solving, releasing myself from the guilt of ruining one marriage and, one relationship, which was nice and good. And because I felt so guilty, I needed like 2 years maybe to move out from that guilt trip. You know what I mean? And to see that everything which happened for me, so I can wake up inside of myself to understand that creation is great, helping people is great, but before everything you need to be complete. Okay? And you need to understand that there are you who are only you, and doesn't matter if you have or not have job, if you have or not have acceptance from the society, if you have or not have, applause from the industry. And when you understand that you inside of you are already complete, and you don't have to create to become somebody, because you are already somebody, then everything starts to follow. Then the deepest understanding of and insights just come one over each other. And as I go deeper, then what is happening when you go deeper? Then you go in the deepest traumas of your parents' traumas that you get, of your society traumas that you get. I start to clean one layer by one layer. I clean one, the other comes up. And it was like, since my oldest kid is 15 years old, and it was really hard work of the 15 years where I rebirth myself few times more. And I would say from that time, when I watch it now from this point, I would say I was in the dark. I was slightly lost in between what I expected from myself, what society expected from myself, and that lost stage helped me to find myself. And it doesn't happen within a one day. It's happened in few stages, and I'm so grateful for all of those stages. And I have to admit, it was hard to be aware there that to some people, I was villain,
Mm.
because we need to know in one life, we are a victim and villain few times, and when you accept it, that basically you did something wrong, but you did it from a higher purpose to understand even on a deeper layer what is wrong and what is right, and to find yourself and to be better person in the end of the story, and to understand what motherhood means, what relationship means. I'm grateful for that darkness in my life.
I think that's so beautiful. And I also think that people need to experience things that breaks the reality that they were living in. When you spoke about your own personal trauma and those layers, and also then your parents and then their parents and then their parents, and so on and so forth, like the genetic code that is passed
Yeah.
on, that is mutated because of the environment that they were in and the experiences that they had, like that is actually science. And that's great. Like, we need to know these things, right? But then you also need to go through the process of like, okay, if this is shaping my worldview and this is shaping the perspective that I see what is in front of me, I almost need to break this thing. I need to shatter it. And unfortunately, humans are very resilient, but also very stubborn, which means that you almost have to go to rock bottom to then use it as a trampoline and bounce yourself back out. And that rock bottom is like the straw that broke the camel's back of, okay, I no longer see it as the sky is blue. I see it as green, or I see it as whatever,
Yeah.
insert whatever, because it just shatters that initial
Yeah.
perception. And I think that's absolutely stunning, and almost necessary to be a complete, humble, open human being, because before that, you're always going to think that whether you're a victim or a victor or the villain and happy about it,
Yeah.
and you're just caged, and it's a little bit too wound up and tight knit, and fuck those people because I'm right and I should have been treated better, and it's me, I, one.
Yes.
And to live in a world where the center of the universe is inside oneself is a pretty frail and fragile universe. Like, yes, we have the fabric within ourselves, but we are not the entire universe. We have to look outwards. And to do that, unfortunately, we need to go through trauma.
Yes. Yes,
But
you're right.
the big thing is like being able to hold ourselves accountable, right? And also be humble enough to see what is in front of you. Now, my question to you would be, okay, going through all those things, you could have very easily have put your head in the sand and said, actually, it was their fault. And it was this situation that I was put in that wasn't my fault. And it was them who made me do it. And this situation, and because I grew up in this place, you could have just pointed fingers to everybody else. And you didn't. Why didn't you?
I have to correct you. I did it first because it's a normal human reaction. We all do
Absolutely.
that, and more often, than we think. And I was when it was very hard in a business, and I lose my private, let's say, well-being in my private life. I was, telling this is that country and this is, people here and this and that. I'm woman and that's why it's much more harder. And, I have all of those, things. Nobody didn't help me. For them, the institutions help. For them, But then I stop and start to think about, and I have to admit at that point I have some teachers. Okay, I go to psychology, meetings to some years, and then I work with some spiritual teachers. And it was very valuable tools because usually if the teacher is good, it's just telling you only few sentences, but it can provoke your ego and wake you up a little bit and shake you. And, it makes me think about it. Okay, I choose to come back in Croatia. I have opportunity to stay in Toronto and work there. Something inside of myself, and I see people there like living in a subway, eating in the subway, studying in the subway, rushing from the one end to the other end. And I said, I don't want to live like that. I didn't maybe know exactly why I didn't want to stay, but something inside of me telling me, no, you have to come back. So it was my choice. So if you choose to stay here, to work here, then you need to be responsible for your own choices. Okay. And first is responsibility that you understand that everything in your reality is made up of your choices every day. Choices of the thinking, choices of the acting. So I started to take the responsibility in my hand and I asked myself what I can do differently to have a different reality. And then I start to like losing the way that victim code, one by one, because that victim idea I took from our elders, this is something, if you take any woman here in Croatia, they will have the same pattern, totally different lives, same pattern. And then I just lose that bit by bit, it went and I started to have the freedom, my life in my hands. And then I start to rebuild. Because you need to be, let's say, you need to be a little bit more, you have to have courage to be able to ask yourself, okay, what if everything which I learned is wrong?
Yeah.
What if everything which I believe that I am is totally bullshit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What if I'm totally somebody else? How I can remake myself according to my free of choice. And basically, because till some point of your age, adult age, you are basically the program of all other factors. And then usually because of life circumstances or some impulse in the life, which you said, and it was correct, usually it's through the traumas, you get, just popped in or, pushed and ask yourself, okay, are you really that personality? Or you can remake your own personality. But you're right. People has everything in their own hands to be free, to live their life in a full potential, and to really create the life they want. But the problem is, even people who are pushed, like have a trauma in the life, they just go deeper in a habitual pattern. And I ask myself, why is that? When I open up, when I start to rebirth my personality and change my habits, I have much more willingness to help others. But at that point, I was so much time. I have so much time in front of me, somebody who is not willing to change. He or she don't want. He or she will tell you, I have pain in my body. I'm not happy. I'm constantly tired. I don't live in a peace. I'm constantly rushing. Okay. And when you ask proper questions to them, they are not willing to change nothing, even some basic habit. Okay, can you wake up in the morning and first time what you do, not make yourself a coffee, just go on the balcony and just take a fresh air, or you know what I mean. Even that habit, it's too hard. Imagine to go deeper, to really, like question everything what you know and everything what you think you are. And for me, it was the hardest time to accept that everybody has their own timing and their own way. And you need to appreciate that. What you can do is tell your own story. And then somebody who is going to be affected by it, maybe it's going to hear it on a deepest layer, like a code, he or she is going to call you and said, I want to work with you. And if somebody just pass, near you and don't even look back, it can be two reasons. First, maybe it's not their time yet. And maybe you are not the person who is going to help them. And this is also ego, okay, lefting. Because when you get knowledge and when you get some deeper wisdom and insights, you start to feel like very enthusiastic. I want to help society. I want to be the one that help all the people coming in my life. But you are not the one. You are the one for somebody. And for somebody else, you are not the one. You can just tell your own story and put it in the field and just wait if somebody is going to have that code felt in their own body, and they will say, okay, Mirela, I would like to come there and to work with you. And if somebody not turn, it's also okay. Just wish them all the best, and that's it, And the acceptance, it's a very important part in opening heart and mind. Acceptance is everything, okay? And I think we sometimes accept on the one layer, but when we go in a deeper one, we still have, and it is duty for everyone who is on the path to constantly let go everything which is like programming. The neutrality is the final goal, okay? And that's basically it is.
If you met somebody who was at the brink of that journey within, right? They were at the start point, and they're 50-50. They're either going to go in or they're going to turn a blind eye and walk away. No, not for me. Too much like hard work. Would you give them any advice? And if so, what would you say to
them? Usually people, like we are speaking hypothetically, and always when I have those people like that in front of me, I have to admit today, because of all of the stuff that I work with myself, I always get inner information. I just get the guidance inside of me, and what I get inside of me, I do. It can be two ways. One way, and which is usually the most powerful way, you just go directly in the head. You pop out one question that just, like do the total, like in the Matrix, when everything falls, it's like you see that on their bodies, on their, faces and eyes, like that question opens up everything. Usually it's like that. And usually I get that question within myself, and then I said it. Sometimes when the mind is so programmed and the soul light is so blocked, and when the people are so affected by ego, the only way that you can go inside is through the one small hole. It's a body. It's a body, and it's a science. I know that if you move the body in a proper way with a proper intention, and if you work with a breath in a proper way, is going to open up things in the body more profound than any question, especially for dead people who are so, like in blocked and closed. So for dead people, I rely on my scientific approach and on my studying and on my learning from that. I start to speak in that language, and they feel that everything is under control, because this is a science, okay? And science is here to help me be more healthy. It's, I can understand this. So I choose either this or that, depending on the person who is in front of me. And usually the body is so great vehicle. And if you understand the motion, the movement, not only in the kinesiology way, for example, this is more for the strength and this is more for the endurance and this is more, but you understand the energetic potential of each movement combined with the proper intention and proper breath, you can break those, like layers, thick layers in the person much easier than any word. Okay, so somehow I use it in a two ways depending of the situation. And according to the advice, you ask me, would you give advice? This summer that just passed, it was one of the most profound time in my life. Although every year or every stage throughout these 15, 20 years, I passed some levels, within deepening the understanding, who am I? And, but this summer, maybe I get more open. Maybe I come to some stage when you can receive even deeper information, even deeper insight, which propels you like two dimensions above. And this summer was so profound. And I get so many new insights, but it's not only on the informational. I embodied, I felt it in every cell, the divinity of my existence and everything which comes with that. And one of the insights or like things that I get, I'm not going to give advices anymore. Okay, I will be here. So if somebody come to me and ask me advice, even without words, because sometimes people are afraid even to tell you that they need help. Okay. A few days ago, I asked one of my trainer, are you okay? He said like, yeah, yeah. But I said, you are usually very joyful, like a kid. Your joy is so expanded, but something I feel like that the joy is like on the half of the way, like it's there, like because this is your habit to be joyful, but it's not complete. I can feel it that it's not totally clean. Yeah, do you need any help? He said, maybe I do. I said, can I help you? I think you can, and he was, maybe because he's much younger and I'm his boss, and and maybe he was, wasn't feel that he can ask me questions. So I felt through the body of his that I can ask. But the main rule is I will not give advices if I'm not asked for,
Mm.
and this is very important. Why that is important? Because people who ask, they are, you would say, minimally on half of the way to receive. Okay, they have potential to receive. People who not ask, they're telling you, I'm not still there. And this is very important, to cherish their own time, their own version of the life, their own beliefs. Okay, wish them all the best, and this is what you can do.
Which is also okay, right? You got to
Of
accept
course.
where people are within
Of
their
course.
journeys. Someone's just asking, how can I help in this situation? Do you want me to just listen? And more
Yeah.
often than not, the answer's going to be yeah. And you're like, okay, no problem. I can listen to you. I got some time. I got a shoulder you can cry on. I think it's, I agree with you. You have to arrive at it at on your own timeline and your own stage. I find it very interesting in where other people's experiences are with these things, whether it's a personal experience or whether it's something that they've worked within this field. I also think it's very important that you have those people around you that can tap you on the shoulder, be like, hey, that's enough now.
Yes.
You spent too long down there. It's time to get yourself back up and dust yourself back off. Your perception of yourself has started to become a little too morphed.
Yes.
You're not that character. Like, I'm going to remind you who you are and stop that. Right? It's going to take a little longer. It's going to take a little while. It's going to be very painful, but I'm going to be on your shoulder, and it's time to get up now.
Yes. But even when you're on that path of working with yourself, my husband, the second one, I usually am the best when I have a second chances. I'm the second chance person. I don't know, do you have the term on English, but second chance person, this is my way. Anyways, and we basically are passing together those last 13 years, which are the most intense years of some spiritual awakening. And he's also kinesiologist, and he's also strength conditioning coach, and we are basically on the same path. And I have to admit, through that relationship, I understand even what does it mean to be a woman, what does it mean to be present. We are mirroring one to each other. And what is very funny, I'm like more creative, active person. I waking every morning and I have a new idea how to recreate something, how to, and he's always, pushing back. He's more like, anchoring, being. So if we do only what he thinks, we will be very passive in this life. We will just meditate and that's it. If we are doing what I'm, we will maybe come to the, burnout. So it is a great balance of energies. And I have to admit, he is mirroring me. Also, anchoring in the presence, always helping me to find the balance in the life. But he is also here. He would say, okay, I think now you can shut off. Now you can put, like a resting sign on the door and just take time off. And this is very important, to be, rounded by people who have the same values, who have the same consciousness, so they can be your mirror, okay? And they can be your guidance and you to them. And it's very important because this life is so chaotic and we are in so many roles throughout the day. And if you have a kids, if you have your own job, your company, if you are working in a big city, driving, going, and it can be very hard to find that presence, to find that balance. And not just your own practices, but somebody who is nearest to you. It's very important to be on the same path, and so you can be one to each other, that, pulling, pushing moment in a nice, soft way, let's say like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. You do need that. It's not conflict. It's a little confrontation sometimes of just like, hey,
Yes.
this is what you're seeing. I'm gonna hold a mirror to your face, and this is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
in a obviously, like you said, a softer way, and like, you need that, and you
Of
need
course.
to have so much love and respect and appreciation for them to be like, okay, when you do that to me, like I'm actually gonna listen rather
Yes.
than just
You're right.
shut up shop and be like, actually get fucked. Because if you're not in that spot, then maybe you got to be on your own. But you mentioned it a couple of times, right? And this is something that I'm very interested in understanding from a perspective that is not my own, because I'm not one. But what does it mean to be a woman?
Oh, this is great question. Thank you. Oof, I discovered it a few years ago, I have to admit, because when you're young, during 20s, you think the only thing which makes you a little bit different from the guy is like you have a different body, and you think, and to be a woman, it's to be sexy, and basically you put everything on that appearance, and work on that appearance like a major element of your womanicity, how you can say that. But then as you get older, you get all of the puzzles together. Basically, first of all, it's very important part of being woman is to have that tenderness, okay, to yourself. It's to be gentle to yourself, to not constantly fight, to not constantly judge, to not constantly act. So for every woman is first to be tender, to accept all of the changes first throughout 1 month, changes within the appearance, changes within energy level, changes in between action and reaction. And to not, to cherish that as a womanicity, because it brings you in every part of the month, different experience, and with that, different insights. Second, which is very important, so you have to cherish your physiology and learn from it. And when you go throughout the life, so you need to cherish all the stages, like puberty. So you have a reproductive stage, and then you have premenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal stage. To not be afraid of the change, to not be afraid of the softness, okay? For me, it was very, very important to understand that my kindness and my softness, it's not my, lack. It's not my mistake. It's not my weakness. It's my strength. And that was very, very important for me, because I have a team of 20 people working for me. So I needed to find that consciousness leadership, with the kindness, and to not be afraid to lead people with a clear vision, but with the kindness. Because I was thinking there is only way to be, leader, it's to be strong. But to be kind, it's the greatest form of strongest ever if you're a woman. So first, it means to be tender. Second, it means to be more, how we said, not constantly in action, not constantly in pushing, that sometimes it's even presence is just enough. You don't have to do nothing. You have to share opposition of the action, just to be, okay, and to be to the fullest, to be kind, to have that tenderness and love for the others, because it's not your weakness, but also to be playful, okay, and also to be, to give your space for your intuition to develop, okay, and to work through you throughout the body. That's why it's very important for women to understand phases in a month, if they're willing. Of course, this is not obligation, but the motherhood, it's very important. Why? Because this is the time that you put yourself on a second place in a really, really, really the most basic way. You put your body on the side, you put your look on the side, you put all the things that matter on the side to give, to cherish. This is so important. When I just get my first kid, since I was working day, night, constantly, I love my kid. I was with him, but I didn't really embodied the motherhood. I didn't really get it as after a few years. I did everything what I need. I was great mom comparing if you were looking my life. But, there's something inside of me to really doesn't matter that you understand that your big belly is a part of the kindness. It's a kind of the giving. It's very important. And then when you come to the stage of the perimenopausal, to accept all of those changes and you understand the principle, you must first give to get. You give your body, you give your time, you give your something to get the wisdom. And this is basically the principle. So I think that the women today in a modern society must start to work and be as the women, kind, tender. A few years ago, I would go into the center, which I have mostly male trainers, and I would say, I'm ovulating today, I don't speak with nobody. And they're like, what is that? What's happening? You know what I mean? And I said, I will live my truth. If they don't know what is going on, I will teach them by my example. And I start to put all of my obligations according to the 1 month cycle, because I know that I don't have the same energy, same focus, same sharpness in each part of the month. This is respecting your woman psychology and nature, physiology, sorry, and nature. So I think I'm dreaming about a world where the women are going to step in that to be a woman and to be balanced for the male principle. Okay? It's not like they're, competing, but to balance each other. But males can't understand us if we don't understand each other, ourselves, or if we don't appreciate our nature, okay, and live by that loudly. I ovulating, I don't do this. I have a cycle, I don't do this. Or, I just finished with my cycle, we can do whatever. Okay? Okay, what's wrong with that? If we start with that narrative, the world, believe me, is going to be changed. But we need to appreciate our womanhood before anybody else.
Yeah, definitely we have created a world where you take a lady and you extract them
Yeah.
from like actually being a biological lady. Like from a young age, they're given the pill, right? And just like, okay,
Yeah.
stop this, shut this down. And you're like, well, you don't develop a relationship with the mechanisms that are actually going on within you, and then the psychological ramifications of that. So it's like, okay, if you don't like develop that relationship, then you're not going to have the required vocabulary to be able to communicate that. So then you were only ever going to create conflict from it. And it's the same thing with guys too. Like, it's like, how do we deal with anger? How do we deal with isolation? Well, we don't develop the vocabulary, so we can't communicate it. So all we ever do is create conflict. And it's like, well, let's be honest, it all starts within oneself anyway. Like, we have to have a bit of a more humble conversation with our own selves, but it also needs better influence from other folks and just being open with that. And I'm gonna bridge on the point that you said of like, okay, I'm ovulating, I'm not gonna do this, I'm gonna do that instead, right? And I'm like, well, I can draw a comparison to a man in an essence is extremely resilient because they're there to serve, right? And resilience needs a very thick vein of patience. So they go hand in hand. I was like, okay, well, obviously that doesn't mean you're just going to sit in the corner and do nothing, but you're going to be able to provide other things or do other things. Great. How can I help? How can I serve this same mission, this same purpose, not this one individual because they're on a pedestal? It's like, no. Where are we going? What's this shared vision? How can I serve that? And how can I apply a little bit of patience in the now to take us there? You know, almost just be like, it's okay. I've got a shield of armor. You know, like, we're good. Like, everything else is fine. So I think those two go hand in hand. And I really appreciate you dissecting that, because I mean, clearly I'm not going to understand that, am I? And second of all, I think it's something that we don't spend enough time understanding. And like, I spend a lot of time on the other side of that coin trying to figure out what does it mean to be a man. And I ended up like dissecting it and writing a book, you know, basically the becoming of a gentleman. What does that actually mean? You know, being a gentleman, like it's a weird concept. We don't even know what a man is. So how are we supposed to understand what a gentle man is? And what's the transition between boy into manhood, you know? Because all throughout history, we had this ritual, so to speak, of like, this is your transition in, and now we've just kind of sliced and diced that and got rid of it. And it's like, well, okay, then what the fuck are we, and what do we do, and how do we then work together for a better tomorrow? You know, so I just want to say thank you for saying that.
Stopping you, but I think for men to understand what is man, and for women to understand what is to be a woman, we need both. I have to admit, from all of those things that I have in life, my partner helped me to even deepen that experience of being women. And I think, although he has good base from, you know, how his father was acting, and, you know, but still he was a little bit more, you know, like, man, you know, more like that, you know, like Fighting Club or that. But he gets that, you know, also he get understanding of what is to be women with me. So I think, although we need to have our own path of discovering what is the woman or male principle, you know, totally opposite from society, what society teaches us, but also we need another half. We need another half to show us you know, principles, because in that relationship we have opportunity to discover ourselves and to really live our full potential in a woman body and in the male body today. And you're right, and you said you're writing a book. I would like to see that book. I'm looking forward to it. Today, even we will say this is a man world, okay? Usually people are saying that. This is a not proper man world. This is something like, you know, non-awakened, ego-driven, slightly lost man world. This is that kind of world, you know? So it's not only that the women needs to reestablish and reborn within themselves, it's also important for the men to really get into their own magnificent nature and strength and resilience. And, you know, like, you know, really something which is even sometimes hard to explain on the with the words. it's very important for them to really ask themselves, are we all living our own full potential? Okay. And to remake that so we can be an example for our kids to have that much sooner than we.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is basically what we are doing is much more, my partner and I, we are trying most than anything to send the proper message to our kids. And this is the legacy. This is the best legacy that everyone can, achieve.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And it creates a better tomorrow from the work
Yes.
that we do today. And that's progress, right? That's growth. That's what we're trying to achieve, right? Like, if not, like,
Yes.
this is purgatory and it will spin for a very, very short time and then it all ends. And I was like, I think we can all agree that nobody wants this thing to end, this continuous self-consciousness, this life, which means, yeah, okay, like our mortality of this this life right now will come to a pretty short end. And depending on what you believe, whether the spirit carries on or not, I personally do believe that. But it's like, well, I think everybody is in agreement of like, when we go physically, we want it to continue.
Of
So
course.
if we all are in agreement of that, it's like, okay, the destination is the same. So we just need to reverse engineer that.
Yeah, you're right.
And
You're
that's it.
right. That's it. You see, I think it's like that the sounds speak much more than words, and that the energy speaks even more than anything. So you see how you find me, and so we are not now having a very nice chat, like from the two parts of the worlds, and we are, like. Cherish some very synchronicity in our beliefs and synchronicity in the way that we're trying to live our life and also to give to the people around us. And this is great, and this is so meaningful, and this is the things that I love this adventure called life. Okay, and today even technology support our divine, destiny, and we are somehow on this, on that, very connected to all. And I think it's very important for us to understand that we are all meaningful, and that we are very mighty, and that what we are living and what we are speaking really matters. And if we cherish that, and if we cherish the others, the world can be a better place for the kids that are coming. So I'm very happy that somehow energy brings us together, and that I have opportunity to share with you something that you also find in your heart. So it's so nice because this is the net that we are creating throughout the globe, and the net that it's going to be the net which is very potent, and it's going to help the others to open up sooner and easier with us guiding forward. So thank you for this opportunity to meet you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I'll have to let you know whenever I get over to Croatia.
Yes, just do that. We can really have a nice time because, as you said, you love Croatia. We love that we are here, so we will have a great time here.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I'll let you crack on with your day, but thank you so much for sharing a little bit of stories and having a conversation with a stranger. It's a beautiful time. Thank you.
Thank you. We are not strangers. We are all connected. And I wish all the people who are going to watch this, I wish them a life full of joy, open heart, open mind, and just, feel the ride called life and enjoy it to the fullest. All the best.
What a nomadic life, right?
Yeah. Great.
Sorry, that was a bad one.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, I'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon, Alex. All the
Thank you.
best. Bye. Bye.
Bye, everybody.